Good morning. I'm officially 7 weeks out from my first 100-mile race, so it is time to get ready for my 16-mile run. I've had a down week this week. Last week I had a 20-mile run, so usually it's like 3 weeks up, kind of 1 week down for a lot of training programs. So I've had the same mileage throughout the week, but today I've got 60 miles, and honestly that just sounds so glorious compared to 20. So I am really excited, and like I just said, I'm 7 weeks away from my first 100-mile ultramarathon. So that also means I only have a handful of long runs left. 7 long runs left. I'm 7 weeks out, but that's starting tomorrow because today is Friday. So still 7 long runs, which actually is so crazy to be less than 10 long runs away from such a big race. So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings, and I just can't wait to bring you all along for this run. If you're new here, hello, my name is Molly. I'm so happy you're here. If you're returning, it's so good to see you back. Y'all have no idea just how much of an encouragement y'all have been to me throughout this training, and I'm so grateful. If you're interested in more running content, I post a lot of running content on Instagram and here on YouTube. I talk about all the things that I love, so I'm just really happy you're here and hope you will subscribe and stick around. It's a little before 5 right now. I show my phone, not my watch. I think I show my phone because I've seen people on like TikTok, they'll do like morning videos, and there's someone who literally, like, another account who like points out that their timestamps are all a lie, which is so dumb. But it's like someone will be like, my 5 a.m. morning routine, and you can see on their clock it's like 8 a.m. So just want you all to know I'm not lying about the time. It is bright and early. I like doing my long runs on Fridays. I kind of changed that for this training block because I'd done that for other ones in the past. It just, like, mentally, I don't know, it really helps me to like get up and at 'em on a Friday morning, and I still have 10 miles that I'll run tomorrow, but it just feels less like a long run when this was like the longest one that I had. So I don't know, mentally it just like helps me to not have the anxiety of thinking about a long run tomorrow, and I feel like I can kind of like enjoy my Friday night more. I can sleep in on Saturday if I need to, especially now that it's colder, because I don't have to get up so early. So yeah, that's why I do it on Fridays. And then I work for myself. I obviously do content creation, but I freelance full time, and so I have just a little more flexibility with my schedule. This time of year is definitely a really busy time of year. Kind of this week and the next week I feel like I'm really just like wrapping all the things up, so it's a little bit of a sprint to get all of the things done that I need to, but definitely working for myself allows me some flexibility, although I am always trying to be done by like between 8:30 and 9, so I can be started like 9:30 at the latest. I have like the biggest under the skin zit. I just realized I still have this pimple patch on. Maybe I'll just leave it on. I don't know, I'm scared. It's like so red. You know what? I think I'm just gonna run with one on. Sorry, is that weird? I'm fortunate to really not break out that much, so whenever I do, it kind of stresses me out, but also I'm like, well, it's huge now because of this, because I just pulled this thing off. It's so red, but it's like underneath the skin, so I literally can't even do anything about it. Okay, just ignore that is there, and yeah, God bless for pimple patches. Okay, let's go get changed. We had a freeze warning the other day here in Austin, literally on Tuesday. It's Friday, and now it's gonna be up to 75 degrees, so it's a little bit of a warmer run than I was expecting, which honestly is great. So I'm just gonna do shorts and long sleeves and potentially like gloves just to keep me warm for the first few miles, since I know I'll probably be cold at the beginning. But I wanted to talk about, I've just been kind of like thinking through more of the logistics for the ultra, and I think I might even later in the video, once I'm done with the run, kind of do like a checklist of the main things that are on my list as we're prepping 7 weeks out, just in case any of y'all are also training for an ultra, just interested in like all the logistics, because there are so many that go into it. And so yeah, I kind of just need to do like a brain dump for like a 7 weeks, you know, less than 2 months out type of like list, just to get a good like pulse check of where I'm at with everything, because it is just quickly approaching. Let's say I've kind of just been thinking about like obviously what I'm wearing, the gear I'm bringing and everything, and I'm just nervous about chafing. I'm like, I don't want to chafe for even like 50 miles. Like that actually sounds awful. And so I've actually just been taping some areas where I typically chafe. I will say this year I have really struggled with like sports bras for whatever reason. I have chafed in almost all of them, even like bras that have historically worked like very well for me and haven't caused chafing. I've just been having issues, so I'm not gonna show y'all, but I have this KT tape. I literally just have like this roll of it, and I'm going to tape just like under here, and it works every time. I would rather have the like of pulling this off like for 3 seconds, like pulling a band-aid off kind of, than the burn that comes with the chafe. Like literally right now, I don't tape for shorter runs, and one of the bras I wore earlier this week, like for such a short run, still caused me to chafe. So I'm not doing that. So I'm just chafing it there, and then sometimes like on my like back right here, I don't know if it's like where my hydration vest like hits right where like the bra is, like where the bra ends, but sometimes I chafe there, so I usually have Dom put some tape there too. So just a little tip if you also struggle with chafing, and honestly I just like don't have the money or time or energy to go on, like embark on a journey to find a good sports bra in 7 weeks. Doing a lemon lime mix at the beginning, and my handheld, this is what I use for fuel for the first like 3 miles, and then I usually just have Dom bring it back. But I do think I might end up holding a handheld during the actual ultra, so I'm contemplating just bringing it with me just to see how that feels. I don't know, I'm a little nervous about that because I feel like I will end up getting annoyed holding it both now and during the ultra, but I feel like just with the gear that I have, if I don't want to buy more, I kind of need to carry something with me. So trying to figure all of that out. The hydration pack that I have now, the Osprey one, it's really good, and I use it for my 50K. It's a great hydration vest. It just doesn't have a ton of storage. A lot of the other vests that I've looked at have like 7 to 9 pockets, and this one has like 3, maybe 2 even. I think it's got 2, and one of them, the zipper is like jammed, which I could probably fix, but yeah, it just doesn't have nearly as much storage. And with the Ultra, there are just like things that you want to have with you in case of an emergency, like things that you want to have during a shorter race, like literally like a space blanket in case something happens and you're stuck out on the trail for a long time. You want to have like an emergency whistle, you want to have your medicine with you. There's just a lot of stuff that you need. So I'm really trying to avoid buying another hydration vest. I know I mentioned that last weekend, and then I was thinking about it and I was like, that's just ridiculous, because I have several and it just so happens that none of them are like perfect for the Ultra, but I want to try and make it work, especially because hydration vests are really expensive. A lot of the ones I've been looking at would be about $200. So we're gonna see if we can make this work. I think the past 2 long runs I haven't listened to anything, so I don't know if I'm gonna listen to anything or not. I really never intentionally set out to not, and then once I'm like halfway without, I'm like, you know what, it'll probably be good for me to keep going since I'm gonna run like at least 50 miles without any music. So I'll bring my shocks just in case. I realize I haven't charged them in a minute, so I don't even know if they have any charge right now, but I have these, and I also downloaded an audiobook last night in case I decide I want to listen to something. I feel like after doing the 20 miles without music, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I know I'll be totally fine if I don't listen. I mean, I'm not going to, but if I don't listen to anything for the first like 100K, I should be good. I feel like there's just like a lot going on in my brain anyways during an ultra, so it's really not that hard to not listen to music. But yeah, I downloaded the Britney Spears memoir last night. I was actually really surprised to see that there weren't any holds placed on it at the library, so I was able to download it right away. So I've got that to listen to in case I want to. That something happened that night. He thought they did something with ghosts.
You ready for it?
Oh wait, we were only supposed to do 2. I'm 7 miles in as per usual. The first part, especially in the dark, it just flew by. I was talking to Dom. He was just like asking what thoughts I've been having about the Ultra, and like when I think about it, what I think about. And I was like, well, first, it's like all I think about. Like, it is so present on my mind, like less than 2 months away. That is so soon. So of course I'm thinking about it a ton. But I think the challenge for me has really just been like, obviously I'm working on my mindset while I'm on runs, but there are a lot of thoughts that creep into my mind when I'm not running too. Pretty much anytime I'm tired, which is, you know, a lot, but especially when I'm getting out of bed, like I've mentioned before, you know, getting out of bed on the mornings of my long runs when I'm tired, I have to really just like be like, hey, you're lucky, you're so lucky you get to do this. Like, how grateful am I that I have an able body, a healthy body, that I can get out and run, and really just trying to like stop any negative thoughts then. But like, they don't only happen right when I wake up. Like, they happen if I'm really sore and just really tired and have a long day at work, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I supposed to be able to do this? Because the race will take 24 hours, potentially a little less, potentially a little more, hopefully not much more if it takes longer than that. But because of that, I won't be sleeping, and I really love my sleep. That was the reason I was so hesitant to sign up for one in the first place. I used to always say I want to never do a 100-mile race because I love my sleep, but yet here I am. Obviously going 24 hours without sleep though definitely makes me a little nervous. So just like trying to remind myself, you know, when, like I said, I get tired and I'm getting negative and starting to doubt myself, just reminding myself that I can do it. It's one night without sleep. Like, I've trained for this and I deserve this. So there's a lot of like mental positive thinking, and probably sounds like it actually like wouldn't do that much, but I really think your mindset and mentality going into these things is everything. It's at mile 11, so I only have 5 miles left. I put it in an audiobook about 2-ish miles ago. I feel pretty good. My legs feel a little heavier than they have like the past few runs. Could have been due to like not getting as much sleep and just starting to feel like I'm potentially getting sick. Overall, I feel pretty good. I realized I never summed up the run because I finished and then I was like just looking around and I was like, why does that look like our car? Like, that literally looks like our car. And then I was like, is that our car? And Dom was passing me to go and pick up breakfast, and I like wasn't expecting to see him. And so then after that I was like, okay, I'm in a hurry and do my strength and just like mobility exercises before he gets back with breakfast. So I just like completely abruptly ended it. But I know I mentioned earlier that I kind of just wanted to walk y'all through a little bit more of my planning for the logistics of this race, just because planning, and I know I've said this, but planning for an ultra marathon, it's just so much planning. Like, there are literally so many more logistics. And so if you are training for your first race, maybe you're like me, training for your first 100 miler, or you're just interested in all of like the planning that kind of goes on behind the scenes, hopefully this will be helpful or insightful for you. And if not, then thank you so much for watching. But the next part of this video is really just going to be me kind of talking through the immediate to-do list that I have for the ultra marathon. We're officially 7 weeks out from the race, which is wild. And so in my head I keep thinking I have all this time, but there really are things that I really need to start like getting on top of and planning. So I've got my laptop here, and the first thing that I'm doing is really just starting to prep like a 100 miler doc. It'll be for me, it'll be for Dom, it'll be for my crew, it'll be for my pacers, and a lot of it is just simple information that's like on the website, like where it is, accommodations, like camping reservation numbers, the maps, the marking points of all the different aid stations. So just compiling all the information into one spot, and I will share this with everyone once I kind of have it a little more fleshed out. But I have like screenshots and need to sit down and really just start to figure some things out. And that's what I'm going to tell y'all. It's like, what are those immediate things on my to-do list? Obviously, like I said, this is my first 100-mile race, so I have never done this before. I have done one 50-mile race. In case this is your first time watching or you're new to just my background in running, I've done one 50K and one 50-miler. And so even just like, there was definitely a lot of planning with the 50-miler, but I didn't have any pacers. The only crew I had was Dom, so it was really just like me and him kind of figuring all these things out. And so now this is just a race of a whole different beast. It is a whole different beast. Yeah, there's just a lot more that I need to figure out. And if this is helpful, definitely let me know, or if this is just like interesting, because I can definitely do these at the end of all of the different videos that we have. It's actually so wild that there will only be like 6 more
videos like this, and then there'll be like a race day recap and vlog. That is actually so wild to think about, but if this is helpful, just let me know. But the first thing that I have on my to-do like ASAP is to have everyone fill out a form if you are a pacer. So I've asked my family to crew and pace me, and I have somehow wrangled and roped them all in to do it with me. I'm really excited. I definitely still need to figure out some more of like the logistics behind that, because the shortest distance that you can do is 5, and then you can have pacers with you starting at mile 50. I've got 2 siblings, both of them are married, and so I've got a good group of people to pull from, but a lot of them don't want to do more than 5 miles, so really just need to like plan all that out. But anyways, that means, and then Dom of course will also be out there pacing me, and my dad might as well, so potentially need 6 people to fill out these forms. It is free for pacers, it's free for crew. I've already signed up obviously, but need to have everyone fill out that form so they can get like the official bib. And I need to sit down and just like assign the distances to everyone. I really need to figure out how much everyone is actually willing to do. Like I might have people do 5 at the beginning, and then like another 5-mile leg in the middle of the night, figure out who wants to do the leg that will be at like 2 a.m. That one will be the most difficult. I will probably be in the worst mental state at that point, so trying to figure all of that out and just making sure I've got like a solid list of everyone who can crew me. Then I also want to figure out the roles of my crew and when everyone can get there. This race is about 4 hours away, about 3 to 4 hours away from Austin. I've got my brother and his wife are here in Austin, and then a lot of my family back in Fort Worth, and so I'm not quite sure what time everyone else will get there, since pacers can't officially be with me until 50 miles, but obviously I can start seeing everyone before that just because it is a loop course. And so I know I want someone to help me every time I see them, just like help make sure that I'm on track with my nutrition, on track with fueling. If I need any gear, I need someone to be like my gear person. So I need to sit down and figure out all of those different roles and just kind of like tell them what I need them to do. My mom is not a runner, but my mom will be there, and so definitely want her to do one of these things. And also just kind of trying to think through, like, each loop is 20 miles. You could technically go and see me before that if you go to the different aid stations, but I don't know how easy it is to like drive along the route. Like I don't know if they'd be able to see me at mile 10 and 20 and 30 and 40, or if it's literally just like, okay, see you once at 20, see you again at 40. So kind of need to, on my end, I need to really study the map and see what is possible for how often they can actually see me. Those are kind of my like ASAP logistic questions just for the 7 weeks out. Trust me, there is a lot more that I need to do. And then for myself, I really was just thinking, I'm kind of typing now, thinking out loud, but there's definitely gear that I need to make sure I am trying and making sure that I have, since I really only have 6 more long runs to test it out, which is insane. So I really need to figure out if my hydration pack is going to be the one that I'm going to go with. I also want to try out a handheld, because I think if I end up sticking with the hydration vest that I have been running with, I know I mentioned that to y'all, I think I probably will stick with that one, but if that's the case, I would definitely have to have a handheld, and my handheld is fine. I do not want to be carrying that for 100 miles. It's just like you have to actually hold it, and I want something that's a lot more seamless and effortless to hold. So I definitely need to try out a new handheld. Then I also need to get a waist light. I have that amazing one from Black Diamond that I wear on my hat. It's really weird. If you like haven't done trail running in the dark, it's very weird to describe, but with like the trail lights, even when they're bright, you just feel like you're like in a tunnel, and like all you see is like, they just don't do a good job of lighting everything, and so it just starts to feel like kind of weird. And so what I've seen, and just like from research, the waist lamps are a lot better, and I was like deep into the Reddit 100-mile like groups, just trying to see what gear everyone recommends and get like honest advice from people. So Reddit was really helpful, and a lot of people recommended Ultraspire, which I had actually never heard of, but apparently they have really great waist lamps. So I actually need to order that and start running with it. One other category, which may feel kind of like weird, it's a bizarre one maybe, but it's just learning. I want to keep learning and just gaining some information and wisdom about the distance before the race gets here, because again, it's new. I have a ton to learn. So I have just a couple random things that I want to make sure I'm doing pretty much every single week leading up to it. So I want to make sure I'm listening to a podcast or two just on like general tips, and then like really nitty gritty tips as well, just because those have been really helpful. I haven't even like started to dial into my nutrition plan. I think that'll come next week, because even looking at this, I'm like, okay, we got a lot to do. But yeah, definitely want to make sure I'm listening to at least one podcast a week on just like general advice and tips for running these races. Also want to watch a couple more vlogs of people running 100 milers. I've actually watched a couple specific ones to the race that I'm running, Rocky Raccoon, and it was really helpful. I don't know, it just kind of makes me feel more comfortable, like knowing what I'm getting into, knowing what'll be out there, and just seeing people go about it. And honestly, seeing people have really positive experiences is really, really helpful for me. It really helps just with the positive mindset that I'm trying to have going into this. And then lastly, I want to keep diving into Reddit for advice, both for myself and also for my crew, since no one in like my crew and pacing team has done it before. I think there's just going to be a lot of information that I'm going to need to provide them, because that is not on them to like look up things, or you know, they're not going to know what I need or how exactly they can best help me. And so really, even just practical advice, I've seen a lot of people say like, do not ask the ultra runner like open-ended questions, because their brain just like can't, like that is just such a hard question for them. Like if you ask them, hey, how are you doing at mile 60, like that's not a good question, that's not a helpful question, and yeah, it could like lead them into a spiral if they're not doing well. So just stuff like that, like they would not know that. And so I really just want to give them like tips for crew, tips for pacers, things to do, things not to do. So that's high up on my list for this week as well. It's the week before Christmas, so it'll be pretty, like, it's like go time with all of my work, but I definitely need to make sure I'm spending some extra time this week on all of this, because like I said, it's going to be here before we know it, which is wild. So that's kind of my immediate to-do list right now. And like I said, if this is like interesting for you or even helpful, I would love to keep sharing these with you. So definitely let me know. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate you being here. It truly means so much to me. I cannot believe we're getting so close to running this dang thing. When I said there will only be 6 more videos after this, like before a race day recap, that is absolutely wild. So I just can't believe it. I feel like I truly would not be here and couldn't do this without y'all and just the support that you give me. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.